Welcome to The Debate. So imagine living your entire life on a sheer infinite sheet of paper. You have left, right, forward, and back, but you have absolutely no concept of up or down.
Right, just a perfectly flat, two-dimensional existence.
Exactly. Then a three-dimensional apple drops straight through your flat world. What do you see?
Well, you wouldn't see an apple, obviously. You'd see a tiny dot appear out of nowhere, grow into a wide circle, shrink back down to a dot, and then completely vanish.
Spot on. This is the premise of Edwin Abbott's Flatland, which was later, popularized by Carl Sagan. And it brings us to our core question today. Can humans genuinely comprehend a fourth physical dimension?
Right.
I argue that through mathematical deduction, we can perfectly map and understand higher dimensions, entirely bypassing our physical limits.
And I argue that our three-dimensional biology inherently traps us. We suffer what Sagan called the penalty of projection. We can run the equation, sure, but our actual understanding is just a distorted, mangled shadow of reality.
Okay, well, let's stick with our flatlander for a moment to see why biology isn't a hard limit. Say that flat square takes a long walk in a straight line, right? And eventually, they end up exactly where they started.
Mm-hmm.
Without ever looking up, they can mathematically deduce that their flat universe is actually wrapped around a three-dimensional sphere. Logic conquers their sensory blindness.
Yeah, but deducing the shape of the cage it's not the same thing as understanding the outside world. I mean, in the original analogy, when the 3D apple forcibly pulls that flat square up out of the paper, the square doesn't immediately formulate a brilliant geometric theorem.
No, it doesn't.
Right. It's traumatized. It literally thinks it's losing its mind.
But the initial shock is just biological confusion. The subsequent realization is permanent.
But look at what happens when the square is pushed back down into flatland. It tries to explain up to its friends, and it is entirely unable to comply.
Yeah, that's fair.
It has no vocabulary for it. The math might tell the square a third dimension exists, but once it is back in the paper, its biology completely prevents it from truly conceptualizing that volume.
Okay, let me pause and actually agree with your premise for a second. When mathematicians say we can visualize a fourth physical dimension by simply dragging a 3D cube at a right angle to our three dimensions, my brain physically rejects it.
Yeah, exactly.
How can a new right angle exist outside of up, down, left, right, forward, and back? I genuinely cannot picture it.
Because your biological hardware literally lacks the capacity for it.
Right. But my point is, we don't need the biological hardware to physically picture it. We have tools to project it down into a space we do understand. Think about shining a flashlight on a wireframe 3D cube.
Okay.
Its shadow cast onto your flat desk looks like two 2D squares connected by angled lines.
Sure, it's a 2D shadow of a 3D object.
So we scale that up. A tesseract, a four-dimensional hypercube, casts a 3D shadow into our world.
Right.
It looks like a small 3D cube suspended inside a larger 3D cube, with all their corners connected. Even if I can't point to that fourth direction, studying that 3D shadow allows me to perfectly deduce the geometry of the 4D object.
You're completely ignoring the cost of that shadow, though. Think back to your flashlight analogy. A real 3D cube has perfect 90-degree angles.
Mm-hmm.
But look at its shadow on the flat desk. The lines look stretched and the angles are heavily warped. That is the penalty of projection.
Well, it's compressed. Yes.
It's fundamentally distorted. Now look at our 3D tesseract. The inner cube looks smaller than the outer cube. The connecting lines are completely slanted.
I see where you're going with this.
Right, but in a true 4D hypercube, every single line is the exact same length and every single angle is a strict 90 degrees. We aren't studying the reality of a fourth dimension. We are studying a flawed funhouse mirror version of it.
That's a strong claim.
The model itself proves we are biologically trapped in 3 dimensions.
I'll concede our physical eyes only see the distorted funhouse mirror, but our mathematical reasoning allows us to rebuild those perfect 90-degree angles in our minds. The shadow is just the starting point. The logic finishes the picture.
And I maintain we are just playing with shadows. We can run the math all day long, but fundamentally we remain that poor flat square staring at a shifting circle on the ground.
Just trapped in the paper.
Exactly. totally incapable of grasping the true volume of the apple slicing through our world.
Well, it certainly leaves you looking at reality differently. I mean, the next time you see a simple shadow stretching across the floor, it is worth wondering what immense, impossible geometry might just be passing right through our space.